It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Joining us now, he is the play-by-play voice of the Utah Jazz. Boler, does it feel weird when you get to the end of the season and, it's the final home game coming up tonight?
Yeah.
I mean, who's more nervous about what the next couple months are going to be like, you or Sharon?
Like, who are you? Why are you here, right?
Yeah.
You know what it's like, right? You're on the road, and all of a sudden, like, okay, you got to share the space again. But no, I tell you, it's exciting because of most likely what we're looking at in the off season, and then Scotty has just started up again with camp in September and preseason October, early October. And then you're back at it again. But there's a different field from a year ago because the direction the Jazz want and need to go, and that is ahead, straight ahead. And I'm excited for that because there are some real possibilities with, Jaren Jackson Jr., Markkanen, Kessler, all the above, and with Keontae, what could be and really could be a great story in the NBA next year. Detroit turned things around fairly quickly, and hopefully the Jazz will be in that same, in that same category. But, as long as you stay healthy and stay on the floor, but that's, 82, there's a lot of attrition, as you're seeing right now before the playoffs. And so, you got to have some luck along the way. And hopefully next year, really maybe the fans who have really stayed steady with this franchise the last, 3 years in this process, tonight's fan appreciation night, and Jazz ought to stand up and applaud everyone in that building tonight because they really stuck with it. They've done an incredible job with when you travel, and you see this at schools, Scotty, where some schools just really can't, I guess, convince the fans they are on the right direction. But I tell you, Jazz Nation has always been very tuned into what's going down, and I've been really impressed with the way the fan base has come out versus other arenas I've been in this year, guaranteed.
Well, and that's the thing. You go to that arena, and you would not align the atmosphere at Delta Center with where the Jazz are at in the current standings. And I think that goes into the fact that the Jazz understand, especially after that Jaren Jackson trade, that after, that game against the Lakers, there's a different vibe around that team. Next year we'll have a different vibe entirely, and I think this fan base recognizes that. Yeah,
no doubt. I think the Triple J trade, Austin Ainge said when he came on board, look, we're going to go big game hunting, and I guess that's big game, right? I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. has all the credentials to push this franchise ahead. The Jazz protect their 8th pick in the draft from Oklahoma City. So how does that turn out? We're going to find out. I think it's May 10th, Scott, is the draft lottery, and there'll be a lot of people holding their breath. Last year, I remember sitting in my office saying, okay, let's roll. And at that moment, the Jazz were the record-wise worst team in the NBA, 17 wins, and they ended up getting the 5th pick, and Ace Bailey and Cooper Flagg goes to Dallas, as we all know, with a 1.8% chance. Hey, look, Cooper's a great talent. Ace Bailey may be a great fit for years to come. And you know what? We'll look back and say, hey, things were meant to be. And you just have to go, right? You've got to build around pieces that you get. And that's where the Jazz are. Whoever they get, is A.J. DeBonsa the number 1 pick? Basically, from everything I've read, and I know I listened to you guys a day or two ago, the consensus is he probably is the best fit. Now, does he fit in Sacramento? Maybe not, but I think he fits in a couple other spots, and especially in Salt Lake. But, you just have to wait and see how it all works out. Can't really predict it, Scott. You can't.
No. And that's one thing, too. I know that there are certain things that you can, try to assist in that process. But at the end of the day, those lottery balls are essentially going to tell you what your future looks like. But, the one thing that I think from your standpoint, being around this team, the vibe, even though the wins, losses may not be that much improved over last year, there certainly does feel like there's a different vibe at the end of this year as opposed to the end of last year.
Yeah, you look at the bench since the trade, and we know. I mean, we all know what's happening. Yes, Jaren Jackson Jr. I tell you, I didn't know. You never know when a trade goes down how that player reacts or embraces his new home. I think we've all seen that he's very much embraced his team, his teammates, and Will Hardy. And that has fueled Keontae's excitement. That has fueled Markkanen, Kessler, who's coming back from the shoulder, surgery. I think they're all in, and they feel the sense of what could be. It's a fresh start for Jaren. I mean, look, Memphis did implode, and Ja Morant is untradeable at the moment, and I'm sure he feels like breath of fresh air, right, to come out and restart. And I'd be excited if I had a front line that most likely involves Kessler himself and Markkanen, with a backcourt of Ace Bailey and Keontae George. And then the Jazz this year, what they've done, and Scott, as we all know, is to audition to give 30-plus minutes a night to the Cody Williams, to the Bryce Senzabaz of the world, and even Ace Bailey to grow in his rookie year and let these guys prove they do belong on a future roster for the Jazz. And it's a tough decision on what direction, Will Hardy and Justin and Danny and Austin are going to go. But, man, they've gotten some great minutes to kind of prove their worth. And Filipowski, is another guy you have to speak of. Could he rotate in as a starter if necessary? Yeah. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
There are guys that are getting opportunities, and we talked a little bit about this last week, that are going to get a lot of scoring opportunities that they probably won't get next year. But
Right.
They're taking advantage of it. And, we've talked about Ace Bailey and what he was able to do, Cody Williams and what he's been able to do with these extended opportunities and these extended shot selections. Kyle Filipowski, I don't know what role he has on a healthy Jazz roster next year, but, it's hard not getting excited for what he might be able to provide for this team in the future.
Yeah, Flip is interesting, Scotty. Summer League MVP in Vegas, came back. I think he had kind of a blip in his sophomore season. A lot of players do, or kind of figured things out. He's been in multiple positions. I mean, Will's talked multiple times about playing him out of position because of necessity, right? So, but he's handled the 4 and the 5. I think he'll just be a solid, bench 8th man, 7th man, or he can start on a given night in this league. I think he has now the confidence, the experience, and also I saw him grow stronger, more confident. He can take a bump, he can deliver a hit in the paint, he can score, he can finish left and right, he can rebound. I'm excited for Flip. An early second-round pick, fell in the draft, kind of a chip on the shoulder. That's okay. That's okay with me. Hey, we need more players with a chip, right, on their shoulders to say, hey, I'm going to go out and prove, my critics wrong, and I'm going to tell you I should have been a mid first, and that's okay. I mean, Gobert was taken 27, and he always thought he should be a top 10er, but it's good to have that chip on your shoulder to continue to drive you. Look, money, I get it. But also the constant drive you have to succeed in this league is beyond anything you can, realize unless you live it. And just being around these players, I mean, you watch them work out, you watch them practice, you watch during shoot-arounds, and those are the things that happen behind the scenes. Game night is just a whole nother thing. That's when you go out and celebrate all the hard work you've been doing. So, these guys will all hit the street in the next couple of weeks and get back to work and then gather again. And I'd say the exit interviews ought to be really interesting too, Scotty, on what everyone says, what do you work on? And Will's made it really an important, I think, point that it isn't like a cluster of 6 or 7. I think the Jazz do a good job of saying, look, here's two things that will improve your game and help us at the same time and help yourself. So, you kind of take a look all year long, and then you whittle it down to two things. And look, a lot of it's strength. Cody has got to get stronger. Has he improved? Absolutely, with extended minutes. I wasn't sure his direction. It didn't look good, actually.
Yeah.
But with him playing 30 or 32 a night, he's gained confidence, and I think he finally realizes that he belongs in this league. And, Thurl always says that's the biggest task of any young player is the oh my moment to say, hey, okay, I'm a 10th pick. Who am I? What am I? My brother just won an NBA championship, and he's an all-star. I can't compare myself to him, but it's hard not to, right? So I think Cody's probably made the best development along with Keontae in leadership this year. Keontae is just a totally different player and person than he was a year ago. And, when you're drafting 18 and 19-year-old, it takes a while to figure out who you are, and you need some help along the way.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, look, we've got boys that my oldest is 24. You've got boys in their 20s. It's hard to imagine now knowing what guys are like in their 18, 19, 20s to say, okay, now imagining your kids having that kind of responsibility and that kind of weight on their shoulders at that age, it's just incredible to think about.
It is. And put yourself, anyone listening, put yourself in that position, male, female, WNBA and 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Mostly you're getting, a 21-year-old in the WNBA, and the NBA 18 is kind of an oddity, but still, Cooper Flagg, 18. 19 seems to be kind of that age. And you put yourself in that position, and you almost want to chuckle because I go back and I'm only thinking about football, maybe going to class, whatever I can, and, thinking about my next meal and if that girl in class likes me, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's all there is. That's kind of your whole orbit. And then, of course, your buddies and getting, going and working out. But, man, you're in a man's world. You're in a social media world that you've never been really that involved in. And I think the Jazz do a good job too, Scotty, with, just the sports psychology that needs to be with every team in the league, in my opinion, to help, to understand the stress, to understand the anxiety, and to understand, maybe turn off your phone on occasion and give yourself a break and get away from it. And I think the Jazz do a good job of that. Kevin Love, I love the fact that he spoke out about his own anxiety and panic, and it's healthy to put that on the table in the world we live in today because, look, it's a glamorous world, but it's a stressful one, and a lot of people aren't quite prepared to know how to handle it, and to have some help along the way, I think, speaks volumes.
So overall, when you see this Jazz team, you see this development of this Jazz team, and you see Will Hardy about to really get the reins of a team that is expected to win and is expected to win at a high level. Just how excited are for you to see him on display in that kind of a situation next year?
Well, Will has been he's understood the road from day one, and he's been about development. He's been very open about his one-on-one ability with players, and I've watched it myself. I'm excited for him to actually go and take the reins off these guys and the program, as he always calls it, the program. It's their program. I'm part of the program. He doesn't try to take full ownership, but he's here to guide. And I think that he's going to have most fun that he's had in his first 4 years. He's going to jump into his fifth season. Scott, he was 30, barely 30, going on 34 when the Jazz gave him, took the job. I would think he's got to be one of the most excited. He knows talent. He knows what's on the bench. He knows the development of these players the last 2 years, and especially this season. I think he's biting at the bit. Doesn't want to wish the days away, but you know what? Camp, workouts, they come back, open court in August and September, and then you hit the floor. And then we'll be playing preseason games the first week or so of October. So, it goes quick. the summer jumps, especially after the lottery, after the 2-day draft. You have summer league that we'll have again this summer in July up at the Huntsman Center, and then by the time that's over, you take a deep breath and man, you're at it. And it'll be a different feel, I think, in the gym, on the plane, on the bus, in the arena when the Jazz arrive, because they're going to be talented, and I think it's going to put some fear into their opponents on a nightly basis. That may be the biggest talented, most athletic front line the NBA has seen in quite a while.
So you talk about Summer League. I've seen the injury reports for tonight with Utah and Memphis. This is going to have a little bit of a feel where you're like, what do you know about this guy? What do you know about this guy? I mean, you're digging deep on this one tonight.
Scotty, this takes me back to Summer League, these games. In fact, the last 30 has felt that way. A lot of unknowns doing exactly the same thing of trying to impress someone. You know, I've always said this to you. Jerry Sloan, you know, one of his great lines was to tell his players that you're auditioning every time you hit the floor, because there's 29 other teams that are looking for talent that fit their system. You may not fit here, but you may fit someplace else. And I think that's exactly what's happening with Memphis, Sacramento, Washington, the Jazz. I mean, they're all looking for the right piece to complement the 5 or 6 or 7 pieces they already know they're going to be there. So it's intriguing, you know, it really is, to see what pieces the Jazz decide to put alongside the Markkanens, the Jaren Jackson Jr.'s, the Keontaes, and the Ace Baileys, because it's the time is coming up where they're going to have to make those decisions and start to build the rest of that roster out.
Just based on what you've seen across the league and the teams that you've been able to call, you still consider Oklahoma City the favorite going into the playoffs?
You know, just seeing those guys a week or so ago, Scotty, I say, yeah. Look, Detroit's young but not quite ready, and Kate Cunningham with that lung issue kind of set it back a little bit. Boston's good. They've been there. I think it's all about experience. Detroit's good as long as they stay together and healthy. They could make some noise, no doubt, in the East. But I think the West is still far and above some of the most talented teams. You can't, say anything about Wemby. The Spurs are good. But there's something about OKC, what I saw the other night. The Jazz played them tough, but still, the score was out of sight. They are relentless defensively. I mean, relentless. And if you make a mistake, they're gone. I mean, they have speed. They have confidence. They have that sixth sense that you have to win championships, where they know where their teammate's going to be. They're still very young. Chet Holmgren can work it inside out. Not the biggest guy in the world, but still is uber talented. But the head of the snake, I mean, that's SGA. I mean, he's a cool customer, and you got to have that to run the show. And then the complementary of players. You know what they do, too, in OKC? They're very together, like the Jazz. They do an interview, as you see, and they all get together and share the moment. That says a lot about just who they are. They're building a new arena right across from the old, I think it's Paycom now. And it shows you what happens when you win a title and you have a chance to go back-to-back. That's pretty special. OKC is a great example, a blueprint of how you have to just take a step back, you build through the draft, you add that one piece. Is Jaren Jackson Jr. the SGA of the Jazz, right? I mean, so is that the one piece that the Jazz need to continue the build process to move up? I mean, I think the Jazz could really be one of the bigger stories in the league next year. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. Just with the roster they have and the development we've seen, I think they could be they could make a jump just like Detroit did in a very short period of time.
I couldn't agree more. And I think this team, especially, if the lottery balls go their way and they have a top 3 pick, I think there are 3 guys that could completely transform the future of an NBA team. And I think there are some picks available from 4 through 8 that will give you a really good opportunity to improve your roster pretty quickly, too. So you throw that in the mix, plus a healthy team next year. If they can figure out Kessler and get him back in the fold as a restricted free agent, then, yeah, I mean, there's no reason why this team shouldn't just be a play-in team next year, but a playoff team, a team that comfortably makes the playoffs.
Yeah, no, well said. Play-in is one goal, playoff team's another. The 4 spot's tough in the West to get a home court advantage, but I know that's jumping ahead. But, 82 is a long season. I'm anxious to see what Adam Silver and the Board of Governors do in May about, the rules of wins and losses and tanking and, how they can curtail that. I don't think it's going to play a factor with the Jazz at all in the near future.
No.
I mean, the Jazz have been through it. But still, the fans, Scott, just have to have the best talent on the floor when they spend that type of money to come to the arena. I mean, that's what it's about. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to arenas and some people say, "Hey, who's playing tonight?" No, not tonight. Oh man, I'm only going to come twice a year, and this is disappointing. I mean, when you hear that, it kind of impacts the fans follow what's happening here. They want to see their favorite player. And if they don't lace it up, it's disappointing. And, sometimes it's a family night out. Sometimes it's a father-daughter night, father-son night, or the birthday night. And so I think the league has got to kind of turn this around to make sure that the best product's on the floor as many nights as they possibly can. I'm not a real big fan, to cut games back. I don't see, because that's lost revenue.
Oh, yeah, that's never going to happen.
I don't think ownership's going that way. And television contracts have already been cemented for the next, 6 to 7 years. So too much money in that, in the fold there. But there's got to be a way to make it happen that players, the incentives, they're well paid. I get it. But you remember not long ago that the badge of honor was 82 games. And that just somehow it got lost in the conversation, Scotty.
Oh, yeah.
And load management became the word of the day. And then it's kind of developed from that point on. But I'm hoping for better things.
Bowler, you're the best, man. Have a great call, and we'll talk again here very soon.
All right, Scotty. Thanks, pal.
There he is, Craig Bolerjack, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.